Good day, Dr. Koy. Today I'm going to tackle about the expert of DECS Service Manual 2000. Chapter 3 of the DECS Service Manual 2000 focuses on the policies and programs related to the welfare, benefits, incentives, recognition, and awards for employees in the Department of Education were formerly known as the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports or DECS. Leave absences. In 1.1.1, in general appointed officials up to the level of heads of executive departments, head of departments, undersecretaries, and employees of the government, whether permanent, temporary, or casual, who either work during prescribed office hours, shall be entitled to 15 days vacation and 15 days sick leave annually with full pay executive of Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays without limitation as to the number of days of vacation and sick leave that they may accumulate. Next is 1.1.2. Employees rendering service on a part-time basis are entitled to vacation and sick leave benefits proportionate to the number of work hours rendered. A part-time employee who render 4 hours of work 5 days a week or a total of 20 hours a week are entitled to 7.5 days vacation and 7.5 days sick leave annually with full pay. This means that in a 1.1.2, part-time government employees also get a vacation or sick leave, but the amount depends on how many hours they work. Next is 1.1.3. Contractual employees are likewise entitled to the vacation and sick leave credit as well as special privilege. This means contractual employees also have the right of vacation and sick leave as well as the other special benefits or privileges. So, in 1.2, maternity leave. So, what is maternity leave? Maternity leave is a government-mandated benefit that provides a period of paid leave for female employees who give birth or experience a miscarriage or emergency termination of pregnancy. This leave allows mother to recover and care for their newborn baby. 1.2.1 Married women in the government service who have rendered an aggregate of 2 or more years of service shall, in addition to the vacation of sick leave granted them, to be entitled to maternity leave of 60 calendar days with full pay. This means married women in the government service who have 2 or more years in a total of work are entitled to 60 days of maternity leave with full pay. In 1.2.2, in the case of those in the teaching profession, maternity benefits can be availed of even in a period of delivery occurs during the long vacation, in which case both of maternity benefits and the proportional vacation pay shall be received the teacher concerned. This means for teachers, if they gave birth during the long school vacation, they can still get maternity leave benefits along with their vacation pay at the same time. Next is 1.2.3. Maternity leave of those who have rendered 1 year or more but less than 2 years of service shall be computed in a proportion to their length of service, provided that those who have served for less than 1 year shall be entitled to 60 days maternity leave with half pay. This means if a woman has worked 1 year but less than 2 years of her maternity leave with pay will be based on how long she has worked, and if she has worked less than 1 year, she can still take 60 days of maternity leave but with half pay. 1.2.4 The enjoyment of maternity leave cannot be deferred. It should be availed of either before or after the actual period of delivery in a continuous and calendar uninterrupted manner not exceeding 60 calendar days. This means maternity leave must be used continuously for up to 60 days. either before or after giving birth. It cannot be postponed or split into separate parts. Next is 1.2.5. Employees who rendered less than 2 years of service may only receive full pay for a number of days based on a ratio of 60 days to 2 years of service. This means if a woman has worked less than 2 years, she will get full pay for only part of the 60 days maternity leave. Depending on how long she has worked, the fewer months worked, the fewer the days paid in full. Next is 1.2.6. Maternity leave is granted to female employees in every instance of pregnancy irrespective of its frequency. This means female employees are entitled to maternity leave for every pregnancy no matter how many times they get pregnant. Next is 1.2.7. Maternity women who go on a maternity leave for less than 60 days when an employee wants to report back to duty before the expiration of her maternity leave, she may be allowed to do so provided she presents a medical certificate that she is specifically fit to assume the duties on her position. This means married women can choose to take less than 60 days of maternity leave, but if they get or want to return work early, they must show a medical certificate proving they are healthy and fit to work. Next is 1.2.8. The community Next is 1.2.8. The commuted money value of an expired portion of the leave need not to be refunded, and that when the employee returns to work before the expiration of her maternity leave, she may receive both of the benefits granted under the maternity leave law and the salary for actual services rendered effectively the day she reports back for work. This means if a woman returns to work before her 60 days maternity leave ends, she does need to pay back the unused leave. She can receive both her maternity benefits and her regular salary starting from the day she comes back to work. Next is 1.2.9. Maternity leave with pay may be granted even if the delivery occurs not more than 15 calendar days after the termination of employee's service, as her right thereto has already occurred. This means a woman can still get maternity leave with pay even if she gives birth within 15 days after her job's end, because she already earned the right to it while she was still employed. Next is 1.2.10. A woman employee on an extended leave of absence without pay can still avail the 60 days maintained leave with pay if already entitled. This means even if a woman is on extended unpaid leave, she can still get 60 days of paid maternity leave if she is already qualified for it. Next is 1.2.11. A married woman employee is entitled to maternity leave of absence with the pay even if she is pending administrative case. This means a married woman can still take maternity leave pay even if she has an ongoing administrative case at work. And last is 1.2.12. Married women who are contractual employees, whether or not receiving 20% premium on their salary, should be entitled to maternity leave benefits like regular employees in accordance with the provisions of section and rules. This means married contractual employees, whether or not they get the 20% salary premium, are still entitled to the maternity leave benefits just like regular employees, following the rules of Civil Service Commission. Next is 1.3, the paternity leave. So what is paternity leave? Paternity leave is a benefit granted to a married male employee to allow him off from work to care for his newborn child and support his spouse during and after childbirth. In 1.3.1, every married male employee is entitled for maternity leave of 7 working days for the first 4 deliveries of his legitimate spouse. Legitimate spouse refers to a woman who validly entered into a contract of marriage with a male government employee availing the paternity leave benefits under the law. Married male employees with more than one legal spouse shall be entitled to one avail of paternity leave form. So this means a married male government employee can take 7 working days of paternity leave for each of the first 4 childbirths of his legal wife or the woman he is legally married to. 1.3.2 Paternity leave of 7 days shall be non-cumulative and strictly of non-convertible of cash. The same may be enjoyed either in a continuous or in an intermittent manner by the employee on the days immediately belaying, during, and after the delivery of childbirth or miscarriage of his legitimate spouse. This means paternity leave is 7 working days and it cannot be saved for later or exchanged for cash. The father can use it all at once or in parts, but only around the time of his legal wife's childbirth. Next is 2.4 Special Leave Privileges. In 1.4.1, officials and employees, except teachers and those covered by special leave laws, are granted the following special leave privileges subject to the conditions under the state. These are the special leave privileges: funeral, graduation leave, enrollment leave, wedding and anniversary leave, birthday leave, hospitalization leave, accident leave, relocation, government transaction, and calamity leave. That the official employee may be granted a maximum of 3 days within the calendar year of any combination of special leave privileges of his choice which he would to avail. The official employee shall submit the application or the said special privileges at once a week or week prior to leave availment, except the emergency cases. And special leave privileges may be availed of the official employee when the occasion is personal to him and that under the same roof and dependent upon the employee for support. In 1.5 Monetization of leave credits. In 1.5.1 Official and employees in the career and no-career service, whether permanent, temporary, casual, or coterminous, who have accumulated 15 days, are allowed to monetize a minimum of 10 days, provided that at least 5 days if retained after monetization, and provided further that a maximum of 30 days may be monetized in a given year. Monetization of leave credits refers to a process where an employee can convert their unused leave credits into cash. The term is 1.5 usually indicates the rate of formula used for computation. In some cases, it means the employee is paid 1.5 times their daily salary for each leave day they choose to monetize. In 1.5.1, it means if you are a government employee, whether permanent, temporary, casual, or coterminous, and you have saved up to at least 5 leave days, you are allowed to cash out at least 10 days of those leave credits. However, you must keep at least 5 days of leave after chasing out. You can only cash out up to 30 days in 1 year. Next is mandatory leave. The head of agency shall, upon prior consultation with the employees, prepare a strategic schedule of the mandatory 5-day vacation leave of officials and employees, provided that he cancel any previously scheduled leave made in the service. Mandatory leave is a required leave that employees must take, usually enforced by the company or government. In the Philippines, for example, employees are required to take at least 5 days leave each year, whether for rest, vacation, or personal reasons. This ensures that employees have time to rest and recharge. Terminal leave. In 1.7.1, terminal leave is applied for by an official or an employee who intends to serve his connection with his employer. Accordingly, the filling of application of terminal leave requires a condition: the employee's resignation, retirement, or separation from the service without fault on his part. It must be shown, first, the public employment cases by any of the said modes of Severances. Terminal leave is the paid leave that government employees receive for their unused leave credits when they retire or resign. Instead of taking leave as the days off, they get as the lump sum payment. It's like cashing out all your saved vacation and sick days when you leave your job. In 1.7.2, request for payment of terminal leave benefits must be made within 10 years from time the right of action occurs upon an obligation created by law. This means when you stop working for the government, you are entitled to terminal leave benefits, a payout for your unused leave credits. You have up to 10 years from the time you become eligible to claim this payment. If you don't request it within 10 years, you may lose the right to get it. In 1.2.3, payment of terminal leave for purposes of retirement or voluntary resignation shall be based on the highest monthly salary received at any time during his period for employment in the government service and not on his latest salary unless the latter of the highest received by the retirement. This means when you retire or resign from government service, your terminal leave payment for unused leave credits will be calculated based on the highest monthly salary you earned at any point during your time in government, not just your most recent salary. If your last salary is the highest, then that amount will be used. In 1.5, the official employee who is in terminal leave does not earn any leave credits as he is already out of the service. While on terminal leave, he merely enjoys the benefits derived during the time of such employment. Consequently, he is no longer entitled to the benefits of salary increases that may be granted thereafter. This means when a government employee is on terminal leave, they are technically no longer active in service, so they do not earn any new leave credits. They only receive the benefits they earned before taking terminal leave. They are not eligible for any salary increases or new benefits given after they go on terminal leave.